everyone, I'm Vicky and welcome to my 5 recently read books video. I'm going to begin with another Dilly Court book. This one is A Mother's Secret. So this is the front cover. I've been reading a lot of Dilly Court. There were Dilly Court in the last video that I did. I'm just doing it through alphabetical order from my bookshelf. So, A Mother's Secret. This story begins in India with a young woman called Belinda who has fallen in love with a military officer, and her father is also part of the military. Unfortunately, because they're in India, the person that she's fallen in love with is from India, and because she is a lady, she's from wealth in the UK, they can't have their relationship known as public. It is frowned upon, it's not traditional, it's just not the done thing. So Belinda and her secret love get passionate and she falls pregnant. Unfortunately, Belinda receives news that he has been killed and she does not know what to do. The only solution seems to be to get Belinda married off and to hide her secret. So between the time of her getting married to this other man, she ends up giving birth to a daughter, and then the daughter is given away. Then the story moves to London, to where this young girl has been placed. So the young girl is called Cassie. She is in this like orphanage sort of place, being looked after by a really horrible woman, and she is one of the eldest children, so she is now taking responsibility of the babies who come there, trying to make sure that they are cared for correctly. It's not a very nice place where Cassie has ended up, and at the beginning of the story you don't know that she is Belinda's daughter. It's all a mystery. The woman who is meant to be looking after Cassie likes to have a lot of alcohol. At some point she ends up having alcohol poisoning and passing away, which means that Cassie has to be evicted and she no longer has anywhere to live. Fortunately for her, Belinda's servant is on her way to provide the woman with more funds, sees Cassie sat on the side of the street and takes her home with her. From that point on, Cassie is sent to school. She is treated better and she's put into employment. She still doesn't know that Belinda is her mother. This goes on for many years, with Cassie actually working for Belinda but not knowing that she is actually her mum. Until it gets to a point in the story where the secret cannot be kept a secret anymore and everybody is informed that Cassie is Belinda's daughter. It's a very long-winded story, but it does have a happy ending. So the next book I've got is by Dilly Court as well. It's called The Cinderella Sister. So this one is about a young girl called Lily, and she is the youngest of her family, and her elder brothers and elder sisters, they go out and work and she stays at home and she basically does all the chores required at home. She is old enough to go out and get work, but obviously they would then have to pay somebody to do the chores that Lily does for them, which is why the title of the book is Cinderella Sister. So Lily's mum, she ran away when the children were young, and she ran away with another man who was an artist. So any form of art is banned within this family. So Lily actually really enjoys drawing, but she has to do this in secret so that none of her siblings find out. Lily goes for a walk so that she can do some of her drawings in secret, and she stumbles across a young man. She nearly falls over him, she drops her drawings, and then they start having a discussion around her drawings. The guy that she bumps into is actually an art teacher and he wants to help her improve. However, for Lily, she doesn't want the family to find out that this is happening, so she refuses. After some convincing, Lily then goes with this gentleman to learn more about how she can improve on her drawing. Throughout the story, you find out that the young man is actually the son of the guy that Lily's mother ran away with, and so Lily is introduced to her mum after so many years apart. Lily ends up living with her mum for a bit, and then she ends up helping to restore the relationships between Lily's mum and her brothers and sisters. The story has a really nice ending with a big family reunion. So I'm now on to another book. This one is The Ladies Maid. This is about 2 girls who are born on the same day, one to a lady from the gentry and one to a gypsy girl. Both of the babies are given away to families and cannot know the truth of their birth. Josie and Kate are best friends. However, Josie lives in an established, well-off family while Kate works on a farm, so they are miles apart. So while they're young, they can have this sort of relationship and bond, but as they grow up and society deems them to not be sociable with one another, it makes their friendship a little bit more strained. Obviously, because at the beginning of this story, these two girls do not know the origin of their birth, that secret does then come out throughout the story, and then everybody is made aware of the situation. Again, by Dilly Court, she likes to have a happy ending at the end of her stories, so this one does deliver on that. And finally, the last Dilly Court book that I have read, this one is The Workhouse Girl. So this one is about a young girl called Sarah. She ends up going into a workhouse. Her mum passes away, so she has nobody. She becomes friends with a young girl called Nettie, and Nettie is a little bit older than her. I think she's 2 years older than Sarah. Somebody from a mill comes to get a worker. They look at Nettie, but Sarah screams the place down, saying that she doesn't want to be separated from her only friend. The mill owner decides to take both girls home with him. However, because of Sarah's age, he doesn't pay full price for her. Sarah becomes nice and settled in her new employment. But because of the low price paid for Sarah, the people who run the workhouse decide to kidnap Sarah. She is then taken from that establishment and just thrown into the Essex marshes to live with a woman who creates medicines. It was either that or be killed. So many years go by and Sarah has lived out in the Essex marshes. She didn't know how to get back to London, so she was just stuck there. The name of the lady that Sarah lives with is called Elsie, and she is a bit of a character. She's a bit of a wild one. She's quite free. She just enjoys her own company. She doesn't want to be around anyone, and she wears really unique clothing. So Elsie's sleeve ends up catching on fire, and then her entire cottage goes up in flames. So they have to rush back to London to see if they can get somebody to treat Elsie for her burns and all of the smoke that she has inhaled. So while Sarah is in London, she is reunited with Nettie. Nettie is now performing in theatres. She wants to be an actress. Unfortunately, Elsie ends up passing away from her injuries. This means that Sarah no longer has a home. She doesn't know where she belongs. Nettie is important to this storyline because she is actually Elsie's daughter, and she is entitled to all of Elsie's assets. Elsie is from a well-off family, so then the two girls band together and Sarah finally has a home. Once again, it's a nice happy ending. I do enjoy reading books by Dilly Court, but after reading so many of them back to back, and her style of writing is pretty much the same consistency throughout each story, it became a little bit tiresome for me. So I won't be doing that again. I will be making sure to mix it up if I come across any more Dilly Court books to read. The final book in this 5 recently read books is Over the Hills and Far Away, The Life of Beatrix Potter by Matthew Dennison. So this was actually a gift from Dan when we went away on holiday to the Lake District. So I've been holding on to it since then, and I finally got round to reading it. So this is, like it says on the front cover, the full life of Beatrix Potter. So it's got some nice illustrations and some photographs. There is one of Beatrice when she was younger, when she was a little girl. Another one where she's a little bit older with her dog. And it's also got pictures of her illustrations. So it is a really, really nice book. It's not really in chronological order, and I found it a little bit difficult to read. If you've ever had to do an essay and give it like Harvard referencing, then it's in that style. It's written in that sort of style because obviously Matthew Dennison has had to take information from other publishings in order to create his own book of the life of Beatrix. And Matthew's way of writing this book is to focus on her art, on her drawing and how that evolved. It isn't in chronological order of her age, it's in chronological order of her skill level, which to me, again, was a bit of a downfall. The parts where I found most interesting is knowing about her childhood, knowing about her teenage years, knowing about her first love. It was a very interesting read. Like, I found out so many things about Beatrix that I didn't know. I didn't know that she had so many animals as a kid, and so many unique animals as well. Like, she had pet mice, and her brother had a pet bat, and she had a pet hedgehog, and she had massive toads, and I found all that really interesting. So it was a very insightful book. So that is it. That is my final book of this video, The Life of Beatrix Potter. If you've watched this video till the end, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Hopefully see you again soon, but for now, goodbye.